right, the meeting is recording. All right, good morning, everyone. Um, Welcome to the February 9th, 2023 meeting of the New Mexico Oil Conservation Commission. Um, uh, I will start off with just remarks as everyone heard, but for the record, as it was announced last week, Chris Moander, formerly with the New Mexico Attorney General's office, accepted a job with MNERD in the Office of General Counsel, so he's no longer Commission Counsel, and we're joined by Mr. Gabriel. Which do you prefer, sir?
I go by Gabe.
Gabe Smith with the Attorney General Office. He is now Commission Counsel. So welcome this morning. I will do a quick, since you're brand new to the commission, I'll do a quick roll call here as you can meet folks and go. But just a quick roll call of attendees. Commissioner Bloom,
President, good morning.
Dr. Mpoma, Commissioner Mpoma.
Present.
And good morning. My name is Dylan Fuge. I'm the acting Oil Conservation Division Director, and also, as a result, also the interim chair of the Oil Conservation Commission. First item on the agenda. First item up for today is approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chairman.
No from my side. Thank you.
Can I get a motion for approval?
Mr. Chair, I so move.
Mr. Chair, I second.
I'll run through the roll again. Commissioner Bloom,
Approve.
Commissioner Mpoma,
Approved.
and I also approved. The agenda is approved unanimously. I believe yesterday everyone received a copy of the minutes from our January 12th, 2023 meeting. Does anyone have any addition or comments for that to those minutes?
No, Mr. Chair.
Can I get a motion for approval?
I so move.
I second.
All right. Mr. Smith, do you want to go through the roll?
Oh, sure. Chair Few,
I approve.
Commissioner Bloom,
Approve.
Commissioner Ampoma.
Approved.
Am I pronouncing all those names, by the way? If I'm getting any of them wrong, please feel free to correct me.
Fuge is just huge with an F.
Okay.
All right. The next matter before us is a status conference in Chevron cases 22871, 22872, Cimarex cases 23088 through 23091, Devon de novo case 23035, Cimarex de novo case 23049. And I believe counsel for all of the parties in those cases are on for the status conference, but I would ask for confirmation from those parties.
Good morning, Mr.
Bruce, go ahead, Mike.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the Commission. Michael Felderwart with Santa Fe office of Holland and Hart on behalf of Chevron USA Inc. and then Devon Energy Production Company.
Commissioners, this is Jim Bruce. I am here on behalf of Cimarex.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. Earl D. Bryan with the Module Sperling firm in Albuquerque. I'm here in the second batch of cases on behalf of Cimarex Energy Company, and those are the Devon versus Cimarex cases.
Okay. I guess since I know these cases have been pending on the docket, if folks might indulge a little bit, kind of a thumbnail sketch overview of sort of where those cases are, where the parties may feel there are issues left to resolve, and I suppose my next question, are we at a place where we are looking to set a hearing in these cases? And if so, let's start talking about that, but maybe just start with sort of a very high level overview, not necessarily disputed facts, and sort of where where we are posture wise with these cases.
Commissioners, if I may, this is Jim Bruce. I would note, looking at the docket sheet, that first of all, the Chevron Cimarex cases, that first group, has been combined at the commission level with the Cimarex de novo case. So all those cases go together. And really it's counterpooling applications between Chevron and Cimarex. The overview is that there were cases involving pooling the Wolfcamp Formation, separate cases for pooling the Bone Spring Formation. There is an order in the Wolfcamp case that Chevron was victorious in that matter, and Cimarex appealed to the commission. That first group of cases there, the 23088 et al. And Chevron's 22871 and 72, are the Bone Spring cases. They have not been heard by the division, but Cimarex moved without opposition to combine them all at the division level, because the original commission, or the original division order in the Wolfcamp cases would probably be the template for the division in the Bone Spring cases. The facts are very similar. And so rather than have one de novo case and then a division case plus another de novo appeal, it seemed easier just to combine them all at the division level. I mean, at the commission level. So that's where we are. I think Mr. Felder would agree that they're ripe for a hearing, and the only question is a hearing date.
And I think, Jim, I think you, and I know you probably, I think you mentioned you have a conflict on May 11th.
Yes, commissioners, I'm at that age where I need cataract surgery, and I'm probably a menace to society even driving to the grocery store anymore. But well over 5 months ago, I went into the ophthalmologist, and actually they do one eye at a time. I have one surgery in April, which is on the commission's April hearing date, and then I have another surgery in May, which is also on the commission hearing date, just by happenstance. And I don't want to let those dates go, either date go, because it would probably take me another 4 or 5 months to arrange with the surgeon other operating dates. So I would love to go to hearing as early as possible, but those April and May dates are just not doable for me. So I think it would have to look at June or something like that.
Before we get into dates, another question. The Devon de novo case, is it separate and distinct from the Cimarex and Chevron cases that have been consolidated? Are there similar issues? If I'm misunderstanding why they're up in a batch, could someone clarify that, please?
I would say, well, certainly they involve different acreage, okay, and different areas. So I think Earl, I think would agree with me. They are separate and distinct from the Chevron batch of cases. They were subject to a very similar type of order from the division, okay. In fact, the orders were issued back to back. They have sequential order numbers. So the structure of the division's approach to it is basically the same, okay? But it does involve separate acreage, and seems to me would be a subject of a separate hearing, given the issues and the witnesses that you can expect to have before you.
Okay.
And I would agree with that. The two cases are very distinct and standalone and have unique issues with respect to them, and would be heard, need to be heard separately for sure.
Okay.
And the only other thing I would add, and this for, I think more for you, Mr. Smith, or whoever's going to be drafting whatever orders come out of this, okay? There's an order to that continued all of these matters to May 11th. And I would suggest not following the captions the way they are on that particular order, because it created a lot of confusion. Florine did a good job of sorting things out. And I think the way in which you have them grouped on your agenda is probably the best way to structure them for any kind of order. Okay.
Thank you.
I want to ask briefly, do my fellow commissioners have questions about case status, posture, other pieces before we get into scheduling questions?
Not from my side.
No, not at this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So, floating the discussion out and seeing if there's a consensus in the party, it sounds like and Mr. Felderwart, please correct me if I'm grouping them incorrectly, but in Chevron cases 22871, 22872, and the Cimerex cases 23088 et al., and the other Cimerex case 23049, there is a consensus to have, or there's a request to have that put on the calendar for a hearing on June 8th to accommodate Mr. Bruce's schedules and some other constraints that I believe were emailed into the commission and discussed at last week's meeting.
Jim, does that work for you? Are you muted, Jim?
No. I mean, June 8th is fine with me. I'll be able to see by then anyway.
And are there issues that would be helpful to do some motion practice and a motion hearings before in this particular matter?
Commissioners, I don't know about, and I'll defer to Mike on the motions. Certainly, I think both of us could, Mike and I could come up with undisputed statement of the basic facts of these cases so the commissioners can see how these cases intertwine and why they probably are going to be subject to the same principles. But Mike, I don't know if you thought about motions at all.
Nothing comes to mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the facts are all that. The facts in all those Cimerex cases and Chevron cases are similar, and I don't think anybody really, there's really no factual dispute as to ownership and the proposed well units and things like that. And I think if Mike and I could work together, we could get you even earlier than the week before a undisputed statement of facts. And that would help the commission and maybe throw in, well, I'll just leave it right there. I think we could work something out so that at least you can get the basic facts down so you don't have to walk into the hearing in the dark, even though we do file exhibits, etc., a week before.
Okay. Mr. Smith, is there anything else the commission needs to hear from the parties before we can to put together a procedural order, given the discussion we've heard?
To be honest, I haven't had a lot of time to look at the rules and statutes applicable to this commission. I was assigned 2 days ago. If I could just have a couple minutes, maybe if you wanted to, if there's anything else you want to talk about, I'll just flip through and see if there's anything else procedurally necessary before we set this.
We will move, we'll table the discussion there and let's talk about a hearing date for the the Devon de novo case 23035. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Feldwert and Mr. DeBrine, sort of scheduling requests, and again, similar question about, would this be a matter that's appropriate for a motion hearing prior to?
No, I think same. I can't think of any motions that I would contemplate filing at this point in time. We've had the division hearing. I think we know where each party stands. So it seems to me we just need to carve out a date to get it on a docket for a hearing. I suspect, there'll be a number of witnesses as there were in the division case below, but you do have the benefit of all the pre-hearing filings. So hopefully it can move along as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, I
And-
would agree. I don't anticipate any motion practice with respect to the cases. I would add that the parties are engaged in fruitful discussions, and there's probably a pretty good likelihood that we may not need to have a hearing, but those talks are continuing, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, that'd be great. If we can get Cimarex to agree with somebody, that's super.
Um, and based on presentations at the last hearing, Mr. Feldwert, I understood you had some constraints, and maybe it was March and April or April. So, are we looking at the May 11th date or later?
I would ask later because I'm going to be out of the country. So after it would, if good, be, I'd like to see it after May. And I agree with Earl. I've heard some good things about discussions. I hope they pan out. So I don't know, Earl, you want to try to put this in July and see what happens between now and then?
Yeah, that would be fine with me. I've got a week trial down in Roswell the week before that'll be difficult to prepare for a May 11th hearing, but so July would be fine.
Okay.
Well, shit, I should have stuck with the May 11th hearing then.
Yeah.
Can join the hearing from a beach somewhere. All right. I think we've got tentative dates. Mr. Smith, do you think I think we have what we need to move forward, at least setting the dates and then putting together a procedural order, but let me know if we're missing anything before we move.
No, that sounds good, and I'll follow up with you after this meeting to make sure that I have that all correct.
I can offer Mr. Smith that when it comes to commission hearings, there's pretty good structure within the rules in terms of pre-hearing filings and dates for that. So I don't think there's a lot you have to do with a pre-hearing order.
Perfect. Good to know.
And actually, Mr. Feldworth, that leads to the next question. We're going to go with the standard scheduling that's set up in the rules. No one's going to the standard timing and everything like that. No one's going to, there's no request on the table to do anything differently, I'm assuming.
I don't see a need to depart from that for either cases I'm involved in.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's fine with us. Just like what Mr. Bruce was saying, we could work on a statement of undisputed facts to submit even earlier, a week earlier, if the commission were to desire it. But other than that, the standard scheduling should work.
Okay. Can I get, then let's schedule those for hearings as follows. The Devon de novo case 23035 will be set for evidentiary hearing and adjudication on July 13th, 2023. And the Chevron cases 22871, 22872, Cimarex cases 23088, 230 through 23091, and Cimarex de novo 23049 will be set for an evidentiary, added to the agenda and set for an evidentiary hearing on June 8th, adjudication on June 8th. And the commission will work after to get scheduling orders out to the parties. and we'll go from there. Please keep us apprised if settlement discussions proceed in any of the matters, and they're resolved in advance.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
Will do. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. All right, we're moving to the next item on the agenda, which is a discussion with Yucca. They had requested to appear before the commission with some questions. I see Mr. Guam. I'm sorry, apologies if I'm not saying that correctly. Are you expecting anyone else to join you? I am looking at the attendees, and I'm happy to promote them to participants if you just tell me their name. And Mr. Guam, you should be able to unmute yourself. You are a participant, or panelist, I mean.
Thank you. Bianca should be admitted as a panelist, and she would have to tell you who else might be part of the discussion. Thank you.
Okay, I've got just a general audio login. I will promote that to a panelist and see if that is Bianca. Good morning. This is Dylan Fuge, chair of the Oil Conservation Commission. I just promoted someone in who's on an audio line. Is this Bianca with Yucca? You should be able to unmute yourself. Oh, never mind. Change role. Turns out I put, that's just a recorder. I'll promote the other panelist. I just promoted a Mr. Lendecker. Oh no, he just hung up. Mr. Guam, I do not appear to have Bianca on the line.
Thank you, Mr. Fuge.
The only attendee I'm seeing is the court reporter's audio recorder.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't represent Yucca, but I am aware of their concerns. If you wish to proceed without them.
Well, I guess we were asked to add to the commission agenda. We did get an email copy of the questions. We looked at the questions. Sort of the initial setup is they do not appear related to a specific active case or petition before the commission. And in some respects, some of the questions are sort of more akin to information that may be requested and obtained under IPRA. So I'm not sure there's a specific commission. Well, I'm not seeing a commission ask or an ask or a petition related to a pending commission case. So I did want to ask that clarifying question before I sort of suggested kind of next steps.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I can fill you in on that. The concern is that liquid spills of oil and gas and other liquids in the oil field were made illegal by the Oil Conservation Commission's rule, and I participated in that rulemaking. Since that rule became effective, I believe the date was August 21st, 2021. There's only been one enforcement action against these illegal spills. The illegal spills are not, even though there is a standard numeric penalty schedule that you've added to the schedule of penalties. The Oil Conservation Commission has added. No action is being taken to impose those penalties. As I testified in the rulemaking hearing, some oil producers have up to 20 times as many spills, which are now illegal, as other producers, based on a normalized spill rate, that is number of spills per million barrels of energy produced. The bad actors still are the bad actors. Normal operations are still listed as a cause of illegal spills. And Yucca, and I'm a volunteer. I'm a retired professional engineer. They contacted me. I took a look at the recent spills data, and I could see no change whatsoever since spills became illegal. So that's the concern. When I testified previously, I brought many of these points up. Most of the spills appeared to be preventable. Several years ago, I spoke to Bill Brankard, several of us did, who told us that the commission was going to pass rules that would shore up standards of construction and materials, for use in the oil field that would prevent these spills. Corrosion, equipment failure are the predominant causes. Overflow of tanks and pits are common, and as I said, even normal operations are listed as the causes of these illegal spills without enforcement action. So the request from Yucca was for the commission to ask for the Oil Conservation Division to come to the commission with a report on what's being done to stop these spills of toxic oil and gas liquids.
That's helpful clarification. That was not completely clear in the kind of email list of questions we received. I want to look at my other commissioners to see if they have any other questions.
Mr. Chairman, I think you know that that Yucca approached the land office and they had asked me, how they might appear before the OCC to get information regarding these matters. And so I forwarded that on to Florine, who of course passed that on to you. And I had asked, well, in the course of the time I heard from them, I was looking at some of our guiding statutory authority and so on. And I think a case could be made that these are subjects that the OCC could hear in the course of our regular monthly meetings.
I suppose certainly obviously the OCC has oversight authority. It sits over the OCD. Obviously, it establishes the rules and other pieces over the OCD. We do not, Mr. Grom, undertake enforcement. We would be the appellate body if someone were to appeal enforcement action by the OCD. So we don't have independent staff that does enforcement or other things like that. Enforcement of the rules established by the OCC is discharged by the division. A proposal that I would like to put down, kind of notwithstanding, but for discussion among the commissioners is I would be willing to take these questions back as the OCD director and work with my staff to get some answers to those questions uh, uh, for Yucca and address the specific questions asked. I'm not sure we need to have a formal report up here. I can work with staff to get answers to those questions and provide them. And I think that may be most appropriate since, again, the OCC is sort of the appellate body of any enforcement that may or may not occur under the established rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that Yucca's hope was as the entity that passed the rule that's being disregarded. It was appropriate for the Oil Conservation Commission to be briefed along with the public on this matter. So we request a public briefing, please.
Mr. Chair, I might point out that we've had a couple new attendees join the meeting. I see Adam Rankin and Sophia Jenkins Nieto with Yucca, who has her hand raised.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, good. Sorry, we're at the roundhouse, so it's very loud. We're trying to find a spot where we can sit and listen and talk to y'all.
Hold on a minute.
Oh, apologies for the situation here, but so we were just able to connect. I'm sorry, would you mind letting us know what you've already discussed for this agenda item so we can kind of catch up, and then folks from Yucca can kind of share what they were hoping to communicate?
Chair Fuge, it appears that you are muted.
Yes, I was. We had just received a brief overview from Mr. Guam about what Yucca's concerns were as he understood them, and what they were hoping to see by the request, because I requested as the chair some clarification on the request that came in, because it does not appear tied to a particular matter or a pending petition before the commission.
So I think what would be great is if the spokesperson from Yucca could speak specifically to what is being requested, and then maybe you all could clarify if we need to file a formal petition or what the process would be to have these issues addressed. But I'll hand things over to Sophia, who's the spokesperson here from Yucca. And again, apologies for our tardiness.
Hi, I'll just introduce myself really quick. Sorry, can you hear me still?
Loud and clear.
Okay, good. So my name is Sophia Jenkins Nieto. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Albuquerque. And I am a member of Yucca, which stands for Youth United for Climate Crisis Action. Yucca is a youth-led campaign formed in 2019 while we were organizing around the global climate strike. And we've continued working for environmental and climate justice and a responsible and just climate action, including a just transition for our state. So we're coming before the commission today to follow up on enforcement for produced water spills and leaks, which, thanks to rules promulgated by this commission, have been illegal for several years. In fact, you might remember us. We worked on the rule and we had a couple dozen youth who participated in those rule-making proceedings. And we've looked at the website and we see that there are many spills being reported. We have members who live in the southern part of the state and Chaco regions who have witnessed spills. In the last year, there were both large and small spills every day, with over 1,000 spills in the last year. Despite the rule against these spills, and the violations of the law, we have heard that one fine has been issued. However, we see no further enforcement actions have been taken. So we're calling for there to be accountability. And we understand that we might not have the whole picture, so we wanted to formally request a report back from the OCD to the commission on the status so that the commission and the public is fully informed. So we have a list of questions. Is it okay if I just read the questions I have for the information we're wondering about?
Mr. Chair, I think that was a question to you with Ms. Jenkins Nieto asking if she could read her questions.
And of course, I answered it while muted because I didn't think anyone needed to hear me drinking my coffee. Yes, Ms. Jenkins Nieto, please read your questions for the record.
All right. So the first question is, how many spills have occurred since NMAC 1915-29 went into effect, making the unauthorized release of oil, gases, produced water, condensate, or liquid oil field waste illegal? And how many of these infractions of the law have received enforcement actions and penalties? Second question is, how does the agency answer for its failure to assess penalties for the remaining infractions? Another question, the civil penalty calculation method sets out a process by which violations should be assessed for penalty. Why has this method not been applied? It is our understanding that one violation has been assessed a penalty, and why was this case pursued and not others? How many repeat violators exist? Why are repeat offenders not being penalized in accordance with the rules and penalty calculation method? Has the lost revenue from failure to issue penalties or fines been calculated? What is the amount? Given the revenue potential, why has the agency not aggressively pursued penalty assessment? Why are violations in that site, quote, regular operations, as the cause not being addressed? It is illegal to spill, therefore any company whose regular operations is leading to spills should be required to change their operations. What is the explanation for the failure to enforce these policies for the last year and a half? What is the plan to get enforcement addressed? So those are like our list of questions. We sent them over email as well. I think it's critical that you as a body and the public have an understanding of the status of enforcement. And so we'd like to formally request a status report. And if the commission does not know the answer to our questions and does not have the OCD staff here today to address these questions, that I'm sure you understand they're important to know the answers to, then we'd like to request the following. Please schedule a status report from OCD staff that includes answers to the questions we've stated here on the record today at the next meeting, so we can all understand the full picture and ensure that the rules promulgated by this commission are in fact being implemented and enforced. Thank you, Chair and members of the commission.
Looking at my other commissioners, do you have any follow-up questions?
Mr. Chairman, no, not at this time. I may have something to add here shortly, but not now.
Yeah, I do have a quick one. So Mr. Chair was talking about if these questions, he as the director will hand these questions to the OCD for them to respond to Yaka. And probably if they are not, let's say, satisfied, probably they can come back to the commission. So I want to know what Yaka has to say about that.
I'm a little confused by the question. Can you clarify about?
So I think the clarification was, and you may not have joined at the time I was questioning here, the commission itself is not an enforcement body. The commission establishes rules and other things like that, and in fact is actually the appellate body someone subject to enforcement by the division would appeal to if they wanted to contest a enforcement action that were undertaken. So the commission doesn't sort of weigh in on the abstract on enforcement or not. It is the appellate body for enforcement decisions and orders issued by the commission. By the division. And the division is the body that enforces the rules established under the Oil and Gas Act that are established by the commission. So what I was sort of leading in with the question and why I was sort of asking what was the specific ask, is I did not see a specific petition. There isn't a specific mechanism for the commission to kind of weigh in on these issues or with staff and other pieces. And what I was offering was, while I felt like there were limitations for what the OCC could do, as the OCD director, I was willing to take the questions back, some of which, may have been more appropriately submitted as an IPRA, but take those questions back and prepare an answer and share it, with Yucca, addressing addressing the questions. Because again, I'm not seeing right now a commission vehicle to move this forward. There's not a pending case. The commission would be the appellate body for any potential enforcement, in the future. So that I think that's where that was coming from, and we may not have hit that before you joined. Yes, please, Ms. Jenkins-Nieto.
I'm just wondering, for clarification, you said that, for instance, a violator of the law could petition the commission on appeal for a violation or an infraction that was enforced. But it can't go the other direction where folks who are saying, why wasn't there enforcement, cannot ask about that for all these thousands of incidents that have occurred that haven't had action?
In the first instance, and I will, look at the Attorney General's office to hit, in the first instance, that party would be appealing an order from the OCD taking enforcement action against them to do a specific thing, which is why it would be coming to the commission. And it's akin to an appeal of any of our other orders, whether it's a permit or a permit condition or other things like that.
Okay, thank you. And then sorry, did someone else want to say something?
The only thing I was going to add, the decision to enforce, is left to, prosecutorial discretion and other decisions in terms of how and what enforcement cases are pursued, which is conventionally why there isn't a sort of reverse process, but also there just isn't an order in that circumstance to be appealed to the commission.
Okay, I have another question, but it looks like Norm had a follow-up.
I just wanted to fill in the Yucca representatives with my comment that that I believe that the commission should be officially aware that the rule that made spills illegal is not being enforced at all, and that bad actors remain bad actors without any action. Normal operations are listed as the cause of spills. Many are preventable, yet no action is taken. Mr. Chairman, would you accept a petition for the commission to hear from the Oil Conservation Division about why enforcement is not taking place on illegal spills?
Ms. Jenkins-Nieto.
Sorry, that's a perfect, really pointed question. I think the follow-up that I was going to ask is, I understand that there's not an express authority for the commission to necessarily force the department to implement its rules, but I wanted to ask, is there anything that is preventing the commission from having a status update on the implementation of rules that were promulgated by this commission? It feels like a pretty, again, without needing to invoke, any specific authority, the rulemaking that this commission did seems like it is within the purview of the commission to wonder about and want to hear about the status of how that rule is being implemented. And that's simply what we're requesting. So back to Norm's question, if the appropriate mechanism would be to petition the commission, I think, we would have to take it back to the Yucca Steering Committee, but I would imagine that Yucca would want to pursue that. But I'm just wondering, is that necessary? Because can't the commission itself take an interest in the status of its rule?
I'm going to look to my fellow commissioners to see if they have questions or comments.
I want to know what Mr. Smith thinks about this, in terms of what the commission can do and not do.
I would just note, for those who came in on the call a little bit late, I received this assignment 2 days ago. I really am not that familiar with the commission's rules, although I will work diligently to become familiarized. I would ask that if there are questions as to the extent of the commission's jurisdiction or what actions it may take, that I would just need some time to research that, and would be happy to provide follow-up on that at a later date.
Thank you. Commissioner Bloom?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was thinking along those same lines that we could ask Mr. Smith, our newly appointed attorney, to look at the essentially what are the powers and the authority of the OCC, and I would point him towards in the NMAC 1915 4. Statutory authority, which says that this is adopted pursuant to the Oil and Gas Act, which grants the OCD and the OCC jurisdiction and authority over all matters relating to the conservation of oil and gas, prevention of waste of oil and gas and of potash as a result of oil and gas operation, et cetera, et cetera. Looks like we might have a mandate there that gives us some breadth in terms of the things we can hear. So perhaps that's the homework for the next meeting.
Thank you for directing me towards that rule and the statutory authority. I'll be sure to review those prior to the next meeting and have some answers regarding the ability of the commission to make informational requests from the division as far as implementation of the commission's rules.
I want to hear if there are any other questions from the Yucca representatives.
I think the only thing that I would add, Mr. Chairman, is that I believe that the division and the commission in their regulations have responsibility to protect public health, the environment, and freshwater resources. And I would submit to you that with the current negligent practices that cause these spills and the absolute lack of enforcement, that the commission should look into this matter under those responsibilities.
Ms. Jenkins-Nieto?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank y'all for listening to us, and just a quick clarifying question. If we should wait until the next meeting to ask for follow-up on this, or if we could follow up with email, or what's the best way to do that?
I think what I've heard from the discussion is we're going to do some circling back with Commission Counsel about the best way to field and handle this request. And so my proposal would be to add this as an update item to the next scheduled hearing, which is, bear with me one second, I closed that window. which is March 9th. Ms. Jenkins-Yanto.
Thank you so much, Chair and Commissioners. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, I'm not going to pepper you with pending litigation at the moment. I think we got a robust update on the last one, and I'm not aware of any movement in those cases. But I will, since I know you just got the assignment the other day, I will flag both of those for. I'll flag the cases we're tracking and the information I have on them. You probably already have it, but we can just compare notes. Is there any other business?
I would just note that I've been added as counsel to those two outstanding cases.
Perfect. Excellent. Is there any other business before the commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Blue.
yeah, sorry, I would just note there are a couple people on attendees, Attorney Adam Rankin, and I see Paula Vance there as well. I don't know if they might have anything.
This is Michael Filderward. We're just observing with a lot of interest all the discussion.
Yep.
Thank you, though, Mr. Blue.
All right. Hearing no other business, our next meeting is March 9th. We will be sending out agendas, minutes, other components, and things like that pursuant to a normal schedule. Appreciate everyone's patience with any little hiccups as we were learning the tweaks to the new webinar system. And otherwise, I think we are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
Bye-bye.